Imagine your name on the world stage, where even the president of Korea beams with pride, and a global media giant like Forbes hails you as unbeatable. Would you believe that this isn't fiction, that this is true for one young man named Taehyung? Hey, before we dive deeper, I have to ask you, when was the last time someone you admired made you feel like you mattered more because of them? If you love stories that take your heart, surprise you, and then leave you smiling with pride, make sure you hit subscribe now, because this is one story you'll want to hear again. A boy from Daegu dreaming under the night sky. Let me take you back to a quiet winter evening in Daegu, South Korea. The year was 1995. A boy named Kim Taehyung was born into an ordinary family, in a city that hums with life but also holds its secrets in the silent winter wind. He wasn't born with a silver spoon. He didn't have fame waiting at his doorstep. What he had was a quiet longing, a spark inside him that whispered, "There has to be more." As a child, Taehyung would stare at stars through his window, sometimes imagining himself somewhere far, beyond the city lights, where music, voices, and stories would reach even the farthest hearts. He listened to songs, learned melodies, practiced them in the dark. In that silence, he nurtured his dreams. But dreams alone don't build empires. There were struggles, rejections, doubts, moments of thinking, "Is this insane? Am I chasing a ghost?" And yet he pressed forward, because hope, once you taste it, becomes a kind of gravity. The journey into BTS, a promise, a leap, a family. You know the origin story. In 2013, Taehyung debuted as V of BTS, under Big Hit Entertainment. Think about it. Stepping from your home into a training room, hunger in your guts, dreams burning in your eyes. For Taehyung, joining BTS was more than performing. It was joining a pact, to become the best versions of themselves together. In those early days, BTS was just 7 boys, a few mentors, little money, and boundless belief. They didn't just become a K-pop group. They became family, pushing each other, healing wounds with music, and building something bigger than fame. Taehyung's voice was raw, expressive. His presence, quietly magnetic. He sang melodies that felt like whispers from your soul, and danced lines that made hearts skip. And slowly, the world turned its head. Rising, when the world began to look. As BTS climbed, Taehyung's star grew. But fame is tricky, full of light and shadow. He experienced the thrill of sold-out concerts, the roar of ARMY, the rush of seeing his art touch others. But also the loneliness, the weight of expectations, and the fear that this could all vanish. Still, he embraced challenges. He released solo tracks like Stigma, Singularity, Inner Child. These weren't side projects. They were confessions. In those songs, you hear the weight of a heart that's seen both wonder and pain. He also stepped into acting, appearing in Warang, The Poet Warrior Youth. Critics watched. Fans swooned. Taehyung was showing the world. He's not just an idol with a face. You can feel him. The twist, discharge, return, and the weight of legacy. Here's where the plot thickens. By 2025, several BTS members had completed their mandatory military service. Taehyung's return to civilian life was anticipated, but expectations were sky high. What can a man do after standing still, after the world has shifted? He returned and the internet exploded. He got over 1 million new Instagram followers within days. His comeback post garnered 13 million likes. People spoke of him as if he'd never left. Yet the world was different. Meanwhile, rankings dropped. In a recent influencer list by HYBE auditor, Taehyung ranked 3rd globally, outshining names like Selena Gomez and Kendall Jenner as the highest Asian entertainer on the list. If that doesn't tell you his aura, nothing will. So here's the twist. His journey was not linear. It was a test. Fame faded, silence hovered, doubts crept back. But he returned, stronger, perhaps more vulnerable, but unchanged in spirit. The president's words, a nation's pride. Now, let's get to the moment that has tongues buzzing. The president of South Korea publicly expressing pride in Taehyung. Imagine, to have your name on a nation's lips, not as a mere celebrity, but as someone who represents artistry, soft diplomacy, cultural force, and hope. That's not light praise. That's legacy speaking. In public statements and gatherings, the president has praised BTS and specifically Taehyung for strengthening Korea's cultural influence globally. Because when someone like Taehyung shines on the world stage, the country shines with him. This isn't just pride in a pop star, it's pride in what he represents. A soft power, a bridge between Korean culture and global hearts. Forbes calls him unbeatable, the title that haunted dreams. Now hold on, because this is the moment many armies will pinch themselves for. Forbes. Yes, Forbes magazine called Taehyung unbeatable. That word is heavy. It suggests not just success, but resistance to failure, pressure, and time. In a recent feature, Forbes highlighted how a simple act, Taehyung being seen holding a Hirono living wild doll at the airport, sent sales through the roof. Within hours, the doll sold out across Pop Mart sites in China. That's not luck. That's influence that moves markets. They pointed out that Taehyung's impact is enough to spark new trends, and to revive or replace existing crazes, like how the Hirono doll began to eclipse the Labubu craze among fans. They say his influence is insane, a force. So unbeatable, not just in music or visuals, but in presence, in cultural sway, in momentum. It's a title born of consistency, creativity, and connection. The emotional highs and lows, behind the smiles. Let's pause here and breathe. Because behind unbeatable lies struggle. At times, Taehyung has spoken softly about insecurity, about being compared to others, about nights of tears, of questioning, about pressure, mental health, the cost of perfection, a weight fans can't always see. I imagine him in the middle of the night in a quiet room, holding a photo, hearing echoes of applause and wondering, is it enough? Am I letting people down? But then he'd stand up. He'd pick up a pen, sing a note, walk on stage. And in that resilient ascent, he teaches us something. Your scars don't disqualify you. They become part of your melody. Remember that 1 million new followers, the 13 million likes, the Forbes title. These are applause from the world, but the applause he grew from was quieter. Late nights, unseen tears, small steps to hold the dream alive. A glimpse into the heart. What fans see, what he feels. Army, let me speak directly to you. Because part of this story is your devotion. You're not a bystander. You feel each comeback teaser, each photo drop as if you're right there. Do you remember the night you first listened to Scenery? Or Layover? The chill in your spine, the tears, the hush in the room. That connection is real. You made his art yours. And he whispers back through verses and performances. Taehyung looks at your devotion. He feels the love and the weight. He sees fan art, letters, trends ignited simply because you believe. He sees when ARMY spreads kindness in his name. He sees when someone says, because of Taehyung, I dreamed again. That feedback loop, that mutual resonance, is part of why he stands where he stands. The moment of revelation. When pride becomes responsibility. I want you to imagine a moment. The president speaks of Taehyung at a ceremony. The media quotes it. Reports spread. President proud of Taehyung's global influence. You see headlines, videos, social media aflame. Meanwhile, Taehyung quietly steps forward. Not boasting, but aware that his life has grown bigger than his personal dreams. What does responsibility feel like? To carry a nation's pride. To carry millions of hearts. To carry desires, hopes, criticisms. Every step forward is watched. Every misstep is magnified. But revelation. True power is when you're not just proud, you become responsible. When you transform your success into purpose. When you use influence to uplift others. That's where legends are born. So Taehyung, called unbeatable, now stands at another threshold. Does he rest? No. He steps into the role of inspiration, mentor, trendsetter, not because he has to, but because he knows he can. forward slash 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 forward slash. A change in tide. When influence becomes movement. Do you see what's happening? When Forbes says he's unbeatable, when the president praises him, when markets respond, these are signs. Signs that Taehyung is no longer just an artist in the spotlight. He is one of the tent poles holding up culture. And the movement is alive. Others see possibility. Fellow artists, dreamers, fans who never thought they could make noise, might now believe they can. Because someone like Taehyung modeled it. He's turning influence into gravity. Gravity that pulls trends, hearts, ideas. That doesn't bend with criticism, but grows with evolution. When he dyed his hair, fans everywhere tried it. When he wore a scarf, fashion houses launched similar ones. When he held a doll, toy sales spiked. Every gesture becomes a ripple. That's movement. The dark nights, what no one talks about. But this stage has shadows. Nights when applause dies down, when the microphone is off, when only silence remains. He's human. He bleeds. He feels. Imagine the exhaustion. Performances, rehearsals, interviews, expectations. Imagine the isolation. Waking up somewhere new, in a hotel room, missing home and friends. Imagine the pressure. That one mistake could be headline. What do you do when the world sees unbeatable, but inside your heart trembles? You hold on to what grounds you. Authenticity, love, purpose. You lean on those who see your heart, not just your image. You speak quietly, pen confession letters, create music born of scars. His story teaches us. Success doesn't cancel pain, but purpose and perseverance make pain meaningful. Chapter 12. In 2026, BTS is slated for a group comeback with a new album and world tour. That's the reunion everyone waits for. But let me tell you, reunions are more than musical events. They are promises. Promises that after individual journeys, they come home to each other. That after miles, growth, silence, change, they still breathe the same dream. Taehyung in that reunion doesn't just sing alone. He sings with his brothers. He shares stages with JK, RM, Jimin, Jin, Suga, J-Hope. That unity after trials is electric. It tells the world, you can fly solo, but together you transcend. So the real comeback is not just BTS returning, it's hearts coming alive again. For ARMY, for fans everywhere, for those who once thought dreams were fragile. The climax, more than a title. Let me bring this home. Taehyung is more than unbeatable. He is a story, one of struggle and triumph, of quiet dreams and thunderous applause. One of becoming, not by birthright but by grit, by voice, by heart. When the president speaks his praise, it tells us. Nations hold artists close because they heal, they connect, they carry identity. When Forbes calls him unbeatable, we see that authority can recognize authenticity. But what if you are the next Taehyung in your world? What if your voice, your art, your care, however quiet now, can echo far beyond what you imagine? Because greatness isn't bestowed. It's earned, shaped, lived. Taehyung's path is proof. From a dreamer in Daegu, he becomes a phenomenon. From nights alone, he becomes a champion embraced by millions. From whispered melodies, he commands global stage. Invitation to your heart. A conversation. Right now you might be sitting listening in a quiet room. And you may think, I'm no Taehyung. Pause. In your own life. Look at your challenges, your hopes, your scars. They are your fuel. Ask, what's that dream I buried? What voice I stifled? What note I never dared to sing? You don't need millions. You don't need a title like unbeatable. You just need to start, to speak, try, to persist. Every time you speak your truth, you inspire someone. Every time you rise after a fall, you teach resilience. Every time you care, you spread change. So step forward. Be a little braver today than yesterday. The resolution, where we go from here. Taehyung's story continues, as all real stories do. Not with perfect endings but with evolving chapters.